Family. This is Coach Orlando of Align Performance, and I am honored as always to be here with Mama Moody, my fellow parent and traveler. And so I'm gonna hand it over to you, Rose. Say hi to the folks.
Hello. It's been quite a day. If I tell you, I have tried to see if Mercury is in retrograde several times
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I even I did a live today, and when I joined the live, Kim's screen turned blank. It was just blank. I didn't see her. I was like, okay, I don't know what's happening. Anybody
That's
else know?
hilarious.
Don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. And then my thinking is it my laptop's, I guess, old considered because it's a Mac.
Right,
But I'm like,
right.
do I need to go to the bin store and find in the treasure hunt a laptop for $10? I'm like, probably not a good idea. It's not a good game plan.
That's not the way to go. No, I've done the refurbished ones from Mac, but that's still once you go down that Mac path, man. They are not gentle on the
No,
old wallet.
no.
That's not
Nope.
that's not a
And
priority over
this
there.
is a 2019, so I think it's considered like old, like
Yeah.
ancient, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm in that ballpark. I don't know exactly. Sidestep on from what we're going to talk about in a minute, but it's amazing to me that part of being a parent is also like, yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and just keep this 6-year-old laptop.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, like you have to, you know what I mean? You're like, boy, I need a little, where I'm going to find some give in the life budget. I guess I'll use this like brick phone. I mean, whatever,
Yeah.
like, you're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I love when they come out, like when you get an iPhone or whatever, and like 8 months later, they're like, oh no, everyone's got the new one. I'm like, not everyone, because I'm not doing it.
No. In fact, that's why I was like, oh, I discovered the iPhone thing that it'll make you upgrade it really quick. And with the iPhone 4, and like, oh, you have to upgrade it. Okay, so I did. They're like, oh, now you can't use your apps. I'm like, so I went to Samsung, and now I'm in the whole like this Android's been around for a long time, but you're also like, oh, I can kind of tell. But I have Mint Mobile, so I'm like, is it Mint Mobile? Because Mint Mobile's terrible, or is it?
Got it.
At this point, I'm like, I just need a whole technology upgrade.
I know, but we try to figure it out. We try to figure out the button. But yes, at some point here, I'm gonna need a new laptop because my laptop at this point has to be plugged in, which you might think, and you would be right, kind of negates the point of a laptop.
Yeah.
That's not great. That's as they say, suboptimal.
Yeah.
So, but what we were going to talk about today is having challenging, like, what's our strategy for having challenging conversations with our kids about what's going on in the world, right? Because I would think that we're recording this, it is January 8th. So yesterday, January 7th, Renee Nicole Good, a woman in Minneapolis, was murdered. I would say certainly we know she was shot and killed by an ICE agent. But based on the video, I would say,
what's up with Minneapolis, by the way? Wasn't Minneapolis where George Floyd got murdered? Like, what is Minneapolis?
I know, like, you guys, everybody take a deep breath. Like, what is good? Yeah, you're right about that. I didn't even think about the fact that, like, Jesus. But yeah, so it and even that, right? Like, that was the same deal. So, how do we, like, I'm processing it, right? And obviously we talk about it all the time. We're at different phases now, and I can talk a little bit more with mine. We're younger, in a minute after we hear from you. But yeah, how do you, like, what's your goal when you're having the conversation? How do you look at it? Like, how would you know this went well? Because you're gonna have to talk. I would think you'd have to talk to them about it at some point.
So that kind of stuff, and I don't know if this is, some people might think that this is like coddling them or something. They don't know these kinds of stories right now. They're 7 and 9, so and we don't have the
Yep.
news on. I mean, my mother-in-law loves the news. I don't know why, but I mean,
Right. Right.
literally, every time she puts on the news, I'm like, why? I need to know. I'm like, because then you know what they say? More on this devastating story at 5. It's like we're just on a loop
Right.
of terrible news, and then
Yeah.
every once in a while, here's a feel good story for you. You're like, oh wow, thanks,
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah.
One
A
in the
litter.
hour.
Right. A litter of puppies. Okay. Back to the terrible news. Right.
Yeah, exactly. This litter of puppies was the first litter of puppies born in the new year. Like, okay, you know, like, I mean, but honestly, with this, because that kind of, I mean, they are 7 and 9, so their world right now is Roblox and 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
We're in that
Right.
whole
Right.
Italian
Right.
brain and my son is a very like he asks a lot of questions. So if there was something they'd have to know, like they know, like every time Donald Trump would come up like on a YouTube ad during the election, they would go boo.
Got it.
Um,
Right. Right. Right.
they knew that Donald Trump, like, oh, this is not a nice man.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But that being said, these kinds of stories, I keep it where, like, for that, it won't serve them to know about it right now. You know,
Yeah.
um, it won't serve
Yeah.
them to know ICE is murdering people.
Right.
Um,
Right.
because
What
and
what
also
what would they
too,
do with that kind of a feeling?
exactly. You could, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
Jacob would be like, "Ice? You mean ice that we
Ah,
have in a drink? No,
right. Right.
it's an
Right. Right.
agency. Okay, but
It's
what are
all
they
right.
here for?" He's very like, "Yes, but okay, but what about this?" And he does ask like really relevant questions, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's like, "Oh no!" Like he asks these questions that go above the realm of thinking sometimes, where I'm like, I, I don't know, like to explain to him that people didn't treat people that were the same skin color wrong. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't, to him, that doesn't make sense.
Right. It's illogical. Right. 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 Right.
Yeah, it's
So,
illogical. Like, what do you
yeah. How much of that do you think is, and I mean, it's probably hard to say, but how much of that do you think is just age and sort of where kids are? Because I'm going through in my head, where I feel like my kids were at certain points of events that
Mhm.
happened. But how much
Yeah,
of this do you think is that and just sort of age appropriate, and how much is part of the neurodivergence special
yeah,
needs
being on the
conversation?
spectrum.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's because he's very like he's very like I know that there's people that have kids that are autistic that are like when I never like complain about how they want a game or the games. I mean, we're safe. We have to be technologically safe. But I say all
Sure.
this because I know people that have older kids that are not um of the age level, like they're very developmentally behind
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
it's because of their certain diagnoses. So I'm very glad that they are both very like they're into Roblox, they're into all that, but
Hmm.
that's all like 9, 7 year, like they're all like
That's
into that.
what
So
the
I'm
kids
all
are. Right.
for that. Yeah. A lot of it though, the way he thinks is a lot of the neurodivergent kind of
Mm,
mind that he's got. He just thinks in different terms and it's very logical. There's not a lot of
mhm,
fantasy there for him.
mm,
Um, it's very like um it's very like if you say this, then like so my mother-in-law the other day said something to him like she said that thing like, you're a great kid, Jacob, no matter what they say about you. That old
right,
say, and he's like,
yeah.
what are people saying about me? What are you talking about? Like,
Like
and
that's
she's
lost
like,
on him that like she's fooling around. Right.
yeah. And then if you go, no, it's just a saying. Well, why would somebody say that?
Yeah,
Like, why would they say that? And
I
you're
get
like,
it.
well, it's like a
Yeah,
saying. Like
yeah,
he's
it would
like,
be
but why would
silly.
like so and and then Jayla would just like she's my little like artist, she's
Mm,
running around. She just wants to make portraits of things and learn and play with her dinosaurs and throw sparkles everywhere. She's
right,
very
right, right, right. So, live audience, I'm gonna stay on this time because I think Rose is having a little issue there. Part of the point, I'm gonna go ahead and say, and part of the point, as we start to have our conversation and said, you know what, we should record and get into this, is I do think at this time, but at all times, there's just a challenge to be sure that we're having these conversations with our kids, whatever they look like, right? That we're having them in a way that's gonna serve them, like Ro was saying. And I'm not always, I wasn't always sure. I mean, mine are now, 20, it'll be 21 this year. Um, but I wasn't always sure how much to say. I think sometimes I may have said, if not too much. I think I was a little more real about the world. Maybe not as like it wasn't a matter of vitriol, but in terms of talking about race, in terms of talking about how different politics work, in terms of talking about LGBTQ plus type conversations, whatever it was, that we're pretty blunt house in terms of where his parents were and encourage them to. I'm curious for some of you who take a look to hear from you, and please comment. We'll be responding to the comments, but just how do you want those conversations to go? And with where we are now, I remember the day after the 2016 election, which it was devastating to me, at least, that Trump had won. And I remember saying, interesting, with Renee Nicole Good losing her life, being killed yesterday. I remember talking to my son, who was 11, about the police and dealing with the police, and knowing that things were going to get worse with the police, and knowing that I didn't want to overburden him, but I also felt a real need to wake him up to some realities that I kind of wanted to hold off a little longer, not forever, um, but for me, 11 was a little young to put all that on him. And what I remember distinctly is I picked him up from school. I knew I wanted to talk to him, and we were driving and I'm talking and we stop at a red light and I'm saying that that I hate to put all this on him and it's not how I would want life to be for him, but did he remember Trayvon? And he ended up consoling me because what I really wanted to come out of that conversation being able to say was, as with anything else, I got you. I'll keep you safe. And it was the very difficult moment of, I can't keep you safe from this. I'm just going to have to tell you about it and try to equip you for it. So here comes Ro back in.
Oh my God.
So you on your phone now?
I'm on my phone now. Is it okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I got you. Go ahead.
No, I don't know. Is this like technology gods? It's not like my internet went down. It's not like we don't pay the bill. It's not
right.
I cannot even tell you. I cannot even tell you, Orlando. I have no idea. Like
No,
is this Apple? Is this Apple conspiring?
that's what. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, you wanna sit around talking about your little Samsung? All right, here we go. Here we go, buddy.
Oh,
Here we
remember
go."
the 7-year-old laptop? Well, now you do, bitch. Like, what?
No worries. So I was sharing. I was sharing that the morning or the day after Trump was elected. So
The
Alex
first
is
time or
11.
the second time?
The first time.
Okay.
And so it's 2016. Alex is 11, and I was like, I it was sooner than I wanted to be having that conversation. I didn't want him to feel in danger. It was important to me that my kids have some brand of sense of safety for as long as I could make it feel like that. And
Yes.
it was just clear to me, like, that's over. Like you can't you're walking this line of like, oh, how long can I make this last? And it's over. And I remember saying to, talking to Alex about the police and if and don't make any sudden movements and don't put your hands in your pockets and blah, 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 and ask this and, all this stuff that I had to now like download to my kid. And I started to break. Like we were at a red light and I started to break and he's like, oh, you're a good dad. You know what I mean? Like he's consoling me. You're a good dad. So sweet. But yeah, I share that because I don't know that there's no template really.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that was part of why I wanted to think about like, well, yeah, how do we approach doing it? You know what I mean? And I guess
I was going to ask you though, how do you talk to them about January 6th?
Yeah, no, that's a great, it's funny. So I'll do an aside for in a second, for just a second, because they'll give a little bit of context. As it turns out, January 6th, 2021 was a significant day for me for a totally different reason, which is that was the day that I got my ADHD diagnosis. So I go in to this assessment and we're supposed to have an inauguration. I come out and white people are breaking the windows at the Capitol. It was like that. I was like, wait. What the?
I mean,
I was like, what is happening?
Like, what? ADD overload. Like, right? What?
I'm like, I've got big news. Actually, it's not really that big in context because they're gonna hang Mike Pence. Like, what's going on? So anyway, so that the little context there. So we're home, and I gotta be honest. By that point, I feel like I was just saying to them, we're just going to have to do what we need to do to try to stay safe here.
Yeah.
That was I guess maybe that is one thing that I'm realizing is for me, it's been important to be honest. Now, like I said, I tried to be protective.
Yeah.
But I also I wanted to be honest, and I could not look my kids in the face and say, oh, it's all gonna be okay. Like I was like, oh, it is probably not
gonna be okay. No, for real. Like,
because I guess
my kids were 2 and 4 when it happened. So right. There's literally like, I remember that day very much. Just while I'm watching it, you got Blippi on and Jacob, they're, like, okay.
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Oh, like what? They're storming the Capitol, and I don't have any adults right now to talk to because I'm in toddler land.
I love it.
What's happening? And our family's like, what is going on? Like, it was, as like, it was same with the George Floyd stuff. Like,
yeah,
it was like, we're all like, what the is happening right now?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like what's happening yesterday. Kind of feels like George Floyd. I know it's different because.
Well, yeah, but I think it's got some of that. I mean, no, I think there are a lot of, in addition, like you said before, that they're both Minneapolis. I think there are a ton of, also just the lying when there is video.
Yeah.
Like.
Because there's still people that were denying the George Floyd thing. I'm like, it's literally on video. Like, remember, like, we have video now. We have video now.
And it's pretty amazing that people are able to just be like, nope, I'm just not gonna. So what you're gonna run into in the next few years, and I say as if whatever, but is once they've got not even once they've got phones, like in a couple of years, like their friends will have, you know what I mean? Their friends will say, oh yeah, this lady got shot yesterday, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's funny when you said, like, how did we deal with George Floyd? I mean, we talked, and actually one of the things that they did, because that's all during pandemic stuff, obviously, Daphne went outside with the kids, and they did, like, sidewalk etchings. Like, they did, or, like, drawings. So, like, they had, like, the sidewalk, and they did, like, Black Lives Matter, and, like, a few different things, and it sort of, like, decorated our driveway, which is a weird way to put that, but you know what I'm saying, in
Yeah.
protest. And I actually thought that was a really healthy choice by Daphne. Wasn't my idea. I didn't know she was going to do it. But once it was done, like I took pictures of it and stuff. And I thought that was a healthy way to say, like, how do you feel? How do you feel about it? Maybe
Yeah.
that's one of the things I'm discovering is like really centering the kid in terms of like, how do you feel? How do you like? Let me make sure you feel like you can move forward from this spot.
Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is, for what you've had to live your whole life knowing that
Right.
there's been, like, I get so mad at white people that are like, this is all always about race, but it is always all about race. And you don't know that because you're a white person. Like, I'm so embarrassed by, like, I have this secondhand embarrassment of I mean, I don't want to be like ashamed of, like, I mean, I'm also like
Right.
spicy white a little bit, because I
Right.
got
Right. Right.
the Italian and everything, but
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't, because also
Right.
the Italians weren't considered white when they got here, and they sure did try and blend into society. So they were, and
Right.
so, and same with Irish, and same, like, there was signs that
Mm-hmm.
no colored people, no Irish, no, like,
No.
literally, like,
No
people
dogs. Yeah. It was crazy.
were, if unless you were like English white,
Mm-hmm.
y'all were oppressed.
Yeah.
You found a way to acclimate to that, to get into the club,
Right. 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 It's
and
fun. Yeah. Yeah. No,
no,
sorry. Go ahead.
no, what were we gonna say?
No, well, I was gonna say because I make fun of myself all the time. Parallel issue, right? Which is as I started to learn, and it's funny I mentioned 2016 because this kind of put my interest in this into a little bit of a hyperdrive, but
Mhm.
where I was like, whoa, like the misogyny in this country is actually way worse than I thought.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
watching what happened with Hillary made me go like, whoa, like And so I make fun of myself about it because I actually say I know to Daphne I'm like that white person who's like, I don't know if you've heard about this, but this racism thing is terrible. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, you know what I mean. So sometimes I'll be like, oh my god, and she's like, yeah, like every week of my entire life that has happened. Like, what are you talking? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I get when you say like you just feel that embarrassment, but but I think again, I think it's important for us to talk to our kids so they at least do have some sense of that. Like I
Mhm.
remember when the whole thing came through, and I forget the name of the case, but came through the Supreme Court. That was like, okay, yes, we're gonna have gay marriage, and Maya and Daphne like in the kitchen, like crying, like watching the news coverage. I mean, like it was like very sweet, and me thinking like, yeah, that
Yeah.
it's important for you to know that we think that's a big deal. And
Yes.
I'm glad you had a space, right? Like where I'm sure there were houses where the teenager knew like I'm happy, but I better not act like it. And I never wanted that to be our house either, right? Like, so I wanted to make sure if you're happy about it, great. I'm happy that you're happy. If you're not happy about it, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
yeah.
so, like, think about this, like, because I know you've been with Daphne for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
your kids are 21, so yeah, weren't,
20, but yeah, they turned 21 in.
they're turning 21, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I say this because when we have to process tragedy happening in real time, when we're by ourselves, like,
Right.
you know, um, like 9/11, I can tell you the exact details of the day and what I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
This can't be real. And this was on news coverage. We didn't have the phones like that. We had flip
I
phones.
know. But
And
yeah, that wasn't like, yeah.
yeah, and in New York, all the phones shut down anyway. And
Right.
um I didn't have anybody except other people to process, like, what's going on. And
Right.
and like, I just left Manhattan that night, thinking, oh my God,
Mm.
like, I was just there. Like, what do you mean I'm not gonna drive back and see like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just the processing with those things, like, is different when you don't have to have
Yeah.
conversations of like, why is this happening, or why things like this happen.
I don't know if this is your experience with it, but for me, sometimes having the conversation with the kids actually has brought me some clarity sometimes,
I can see it.
because there's a way with adults where we get to using the words we use and we choose our sides and but when a kid says, when your kid says, Jacob says, treating people different because of color of skin is,
Yeah.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go, yeah, it is. When we went to see Selma, I remember this very distinctly. My child Maya was really upset at the point where the violence came against the protesters, basically.
Yeah.
And started crying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I leaned over and I said, hey, don't worry about crying. There's nothing wrong with you for crying. There's something wrong with the rest of us for not crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should all be crying. This whole theater should be in tears right now.
I know. Yeah. I mean, even thinking about that would, like, the lunch counter, it's just like,
yeah.
Like, even with everything that now, even with everything you see now, like, there's still some of you that would be on the other side of the counter, not at the counter. Like, there's still, you would actively choose to be behind. You would not be at the lunch counter, because that's how I gauge white people. Are you at the lunch counter? Or are you
Who
behind?
are you? But, yeah.
Because I could tell where you'd be. You wouldn't be sitting at the lunch counter. You'd be behind. Yeah, you might be way behind and be like, well, it wasn't me putting an egg. But
you weren't stopping it either, right?
Yeah, the people, the unstoppables, they're not going to stop it. They're just the observers. Now, mind you, with me saying that, I don't know how to make radical change with that's where our podcast came from. Like,
I know.
With all this information, but I'm still like, I have to get them ready for 100 days at school and put an old costume on. Jayla, like, I'm like, I overloaded. I just became room mom. Like, I don't
get out of here. We get out of here with the room mom. You get out of here.
I just said yes to room mom. How am I going to change the world? How am I going to abolish ICE when I signed up to be room mom?
It's so real, and we're gonna wrap up, but it's so real, and I love it you said that, because that's the other side of all this with the kids. And like, there still has to be lunch tomorrow, and there still has to be dinner tomorrow, and I think that's one of the reasons, and I want to continue this conversation actually, because like, maybe we can be helpful to just have people think through the strategy of having these conversations, because it is overwhelming. Like, excuse me, I gotta pay the bills. My car is dinged. I gotta get it painted or some crap.
I just got the note. Like, just when you're like, okay, I've got to do this, you get in your car and it says, hey, oil change light, you're at 15%. Oh my God, what?
Really? Or how? But then, of course. So I think having strategies around some of this stuff is really the only way to go, because and frankly, I think for the next several years, no matter how things go, even if things go the way you and I would like to say would be good, it's still going to be a heck of a next 5 to 10 years.
Oh my God.
It's going to be crazy.
And we're only 1 year in this administration.
I know.
Like, what are you talking about? Like,
I know.
With 4 more, we have 3 more years. What?
Yeah. No. The last one aged me. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Complete with the lockdown. The last one, I was kind of salt. I'm not even kidding. I went in salt and pepper. I came out salt. It was like, you know what?
They say like a presidency ages presidents, but this aged everybody. Like,
we age exactly. It aged the country. So there you go. Well, listen, we're gonna wrap up for today. We cannot be stopped by Apple, by anything. We are a room mom.
Yep.
And a host dad, and we got it, and we're gonna do it. All right, Ro, we'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right, take care. Be careful out there. Bye.
Orlando.